Where does yesterday
There we go.
future meet today?
We're into the show.
He's right here.
Brand new.
Here's Bunny D.
Come on, dance with me, guys.
Oh, yeah. Where does yesterday's future land? When it finally shakes your hand, right at the edge of a brand new screen.
Absolutely.
Blink once and you know what I mean. The old world folds into a spark.
Clark.
One little switch in the dark.
We know what that is.
Tomorrow's knocking, just minutes away.
Minutes.
Can you hear it rocking?
Here we go.
Can you hear it say, technology evolution, the
Future of now.
the future of now, the future of now. It's here.
There we go.
Here's Bunny D.
There you go. Thank you to the voice who introduces me, Mike. That's brand new. What'd you think?
Love it.
Pretty cool.
Fantastic.
Thank you very much. Welcome, everybody. I'm Bonnie D. Happy to be here, and this is a very serious show today. We're talking about the future of business data and AI, and the subtitle is Get Smarter. Anybody remember Get Smart, the TV show?
Absolutely.
Talking into the shoe. Was it the shoe was the phone? Yes,
In
I know.
reruns.
There you go. There you go. Of course, you're all too young to have ever seen it live. So let me start my introduction here. And I have to do a shout out to a wonderful lady who's a dear friend, and she is the booking agent for the show. She got all of you together for me. Sherry Ann Meyer. Everybody give her a round of applause, please. Sherry Ann, she's here in the background, what we call an official technology revolution fly on the wall. Sherry, welcome. So here we go. I have an introduction. I have a special gift for each of you. So welcome to Technology Revolution, the future of now. Will AI help business run better? We'll explore the when, the where, and the how. With Bonnie D on her Scarlett Mic live streaming bright, the future of business data and AI gets smarter in our spotlight. Is data the new plutonium, new oxygen, new oil? Is it the new bacon or the new soil? Well, today, Mike Maiolo, wave hello. Noel Fagan is here, Angel Cruz is here, and Len Harms. They're all here, sharing how AI will help business data be trusted, accurate, and clear. At our predictions roundtable, they'll reveal what may be in store as intelligent data drives business decisions, efficiency, and more. And now here's my gift for each of you. Mike, you're up first. From Ridgefield roots, where strong values were taught, with discipline, service, and teamwork hard fought. A coach for a father, a nurse mom by his side, Mike learned that integrity would always be his guide. With open doors at home where strangers became friends, he saw how true leadership serves and transcends. At Bucknell, where Plato shaped wisdom and insight, Mike chose passive action to lead and do right. From Vesta to Rising, then Wipro, now in the rear window, he's helping Mosaic pair AI with the human touch to grow. As new ventures emerge and new chapters come into view, Mike keeps building the future with Kate by his side and his purpose always true. Mike, I hope you like that.
That was fabulous, Bonnie. Thank you.
You're welcome. It's a little different from the last time you were on. I always
It
try to
is
keep
indeed.
it fresh. Noel is next. From New York roots and Ridgewood days where curiosity took flight, Irish and Dominican values shaped Noel's path toward insight right. A Renaissance kid with history, biochemistry, and theater in view, an art teacher's guidance helped him envision what he could do. At the Naval Academy, astronautical engineering set the stage. Then 10 years at sea built leadership beyond Noel's age. Through 9/11 global deployments and strategic studies refined, he learned to lead through pressure with a steady and focused mind. From asset management to enterprise transformation at scale, Noel helps organizations turn complex operations into success without fail. Now at Mosaic SAP, where business data and AI align, he helps clients move faster, work smarter, and uncover value by design. I hope you enjoyed that.
I'm humbled by it, Bonnie. My life has never been described by Dr. Seuss before.
There you go. Actually, it's Bonnie and Sylvie, and I'll tell you more later. Angel is with us. Angel, you're next. In Cordoba, Spain, where ancient civilizations still align, young Angel saw how past and future could beautifully combine. Roman, Moorish Christian legacy shaped his thoughtful view, showing how enduring foundations support what's modern and what's new. History, geography, mathematics helped his vision grow, while sports and biographies taught how far discipline can go. An economics degree and MBA refined his strategic insight, then his first SAP configuration set a global path in flight. From Brazil to New York, across 50 countries and more, he helped transform enterprises from hangar to boardroom floor. Now Angel helps shape agentic AI and business data's next frontier, building autonomous enterprises where innovation becomes crystal clear. Angel, what do you think?
I think that's beautiful. A little long for my obituary, but I think I liked it.
It's too soon. It's
We'll
way too
shorten it,
soon.
yeah.
Way too soon. And Len, of course, here we go. Raised in Winnipeg, though farm-bred values shaped his way, Len learned independence and self-reliance from a very early day. An avid reader with adventure always on his mind. By seventh grade, he dreamed of flying where few paths were defined. At 16, Alaska called Len for 10 weeks on a construction crew, building confidence and resilience with every challenge Len worked through. He trained to be a bush pilot determined to take flight until an eyesight change led his future toward a different light. Logistics became his new horizon where enterprise began to grow. Then teaching at the University of Calgary set the stage for what he would know. Now 28 years in SAP, helping companies prepare and adapt. Len brings business data and AI together so opportunity can be tapped. Len, I hope you like that.
Do I get a copy of this one?
Maybe it's copyrighted. We'll negotiate. It's
Okay. All right.
There's a fee involved. You understand? Okay, so let me finish. Mike, Noel, Angel, and Len are here, sharing how AI will help business data be trusted, as I said, accurate and clear. At our predictions roundtable, they'll reveal what may be in store as intelligent data drives business decisions, efficiency, and so much more. So, everybody, what'd you think? Did you like your introductions?
Bravo.
Fantastic.
Update. Yes.
Thank you. Good. Those are my gifts to you.
job.
So let's go around the table now. Mike, I'm going to put you on speaker view. So happy to have you back. And congratulations on your, can I say, your new gig. Mosaic is such a beautiful name for anything. So I think I've made some of those too. So Mike, I'm putting you on speaker view. Would you spend about 2 minutes, please, and connect the dots? I just, in 12 lines, how much could I say? So go ahead, Mike. Welcome back. And then we'll go around the table. You're up.
Bonnie, thank you, and you're a tough act to follow. I'll only add a few things because I love the intro that you gave me already. But adding to what you said, obviously family is a lot to me. My dad was an Italian immigrant, high school football coach that I learned a lot from. Mom was a ER nurse who decided to get out of ER nursing when my brother made his third appearance at the ER during her shift. But they taught me a lot about service, about integrity, and about leadership. I'm trying to pass that along. I have two children, Gabe, who is now graduated from Bucknell with a double major of economics and Italian, of all things. And he's got a career he's just launched in the AI world as a consultant. Anna is a rising junior at Syracuse University studying economics as well. I am really excited about the fourth chapter of my career. I think of it in phases. There was the cell phone phase, because we didn't used to have cell phones, then the email phase, then the ERP phase, and now the AI phase. And I'll need to retire soon because I don't know what comes after AI. But I'm excited to be here with you, Bonnie, as always.
Thank you. You're very kind. You can't retire, Mike. Come on. That's just way too. What's after AI? We don't know. I mean, I was the last kid on my block to buy a microwave oven because I didn't know what it was and I was a little afraid of it. But I was one of the first to be online doing thought leadership radio for SAP in 2011. So we can be first, we can be middle, we can be last, but there's always something new coming. And that's what's exciting to me about technology. And that's why my show is called Technology Revolution. There you go. Okay, who's next? Noel, putting you on speaker view. Why don't you tell us a little more about yourself?
Yes, ma'am. Again, hard act to follow from the introduction that you already gave for me. I would add this. I did leave consulting back in November after 20 something years, almost all of it with Mike, and most of it with Len. And I thought for sure it would be at least a 6-month sabbatical, but who knows? It could have gone further. and I came back out to my place out here in Breckenridge, Colorado. The perhaps God was telling me that I wasn't ready to go because it did proceeded not to snow most of the entire winter. And that gave me plenty of time to sit there and think about what alternative options might be. And for the second time in my career, I picked up the phone when Mike called and said that he was starting this Mosaic company and that we were going to get the band back together. And I think the culture that we had at the first firm there, Vesta, that became Rising, was something that I dearly missed. And perhaps it was again the Bear Mountains that made me be much more introspective. So my 6 month sabbatical didn't even make it to 4. And then now that I'm watching how the industry has changed in just the 4 months that I was off, I'm really glad that I'm back in the space. What AI is going to be doing in and around the ecosystems that we all operate in, heavy asset intensive industries. That is my forte, railroads in particular. I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to be back with the team. And I'm glad that at this point in history, I'm both cognizant of it and probably able to contribute to it. So, and I'm really glad to be on this call today.
Thank you. That was beautiful. I love it when you say when that phone rang and 6 months didn't even make it to 4. Very, very just nicely put, very poetic, Noel, if I can say that. Thank you so much. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Angel. I'm putting you on speaker view. You're
Hello.
new to my show. I just met you, 22 minutes ago, if that. So tell us a little more about yourself, please.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, I think you described it well as well. I was born in Cordoba in Spain. And if there is one building that embodies that civilization over civilization that we have had in there over the last centuries, is the Mezquita. That was born as a Roman temple, then a mosque, and then a cathedral, all in the same building. So this to me reflects a set of decisions, layers of decisions over decisions, made always by somebody who was thinking that they were building the future. And then after 20 plus years there, I get out and I got to visit all those 50 plus countries, different cultures, different companies, industries, and so on. But I come down to the same conclusion. It's everybody's trying to make the right decision at the right time and with the right information. And for these 25 years, to Mike's point, that is annulled, that has been a people problem, a person problem, that all of a sudden with AI became an architectural problem. And that's very different. I'm really excited to be here. But of course, I have also moved from 15 years in the SAP ecosystem working for some partners, and then the last 8 years working for SAP. So I moved from implementing like Noel applications and implementing architecture to about thinking about the applications, what should they become and what is that the architectural should be defined for in order to enable these agents that are already here. No? So when I think about it every morning, I'm thinking about what is that we have to build so these agents, these machines can run their routines, and then the people will be able to do something different, more elevated work, and also what would be that the humans would do. No? So for the first question, I always land in the same point, is the data, because these agents will be able to run and run these routine processes and execution even only if they have the right data and that data is grounded and they have the relationships. So it's all about the data. It's not AI, it's not agents, it's not models for me. So that answer about the data really enables the answer to the second question, which is what will the humans do? And I think they will do what they were meant to do, which is a strategy, relationship, and judgment. So if I look back and I'm thinking, okay, all that we built, civilization over civilization in Cordoba and other places, when we were exclusively focused on execution, I'm really excited to see what is that we can build in the future together when we focus on strategy, relations, and judgment.
Thank you very much. Very well put. And yes, humans had to mention it. That's why we're here. As far as I know, nobody's an AI. All right, Len, you're not a bot, are you? No, he looks like he's real. Okay, I just want to make sure. It is about the humans, and that seems to be the struggle. A lot of people have a problem with it's going to wipe us all out. It's going to take our jobs, going to take over. No, we're still going to be in charge, and that's why you're all here talking about this today. Data comes from somewhere, comes from, I think, something that people are doing behind the scenes, and how is AI going to help all of that? So that's why a statement here, a proclamation, if you will. My show is about the positives, the opportunities, the benefits of using AI, but people, humans using AI. Get it? Okay? There we go. That's why we're here. No doom and gloom, no OMG, no woo woo. That's why we're here. I'm just delighted. Thank you, Angel. Very pleased to meet you. Len, I'm putting you on speaker view. Let's have more about you. Connect those dots for me, please.
So in other situations where I've been asked to introduce myself, and I would say I grew up on a farm, and my wife would then correct me. My wife of 40 years, who is the treasure of my life, would go, Len, you actually weren't raised on a farm. And so I had to correct that and talk about the influence of my parents. And so Bonnie, when you introduced me and you talked about that, I can't understate how much that impacted me. And what it meant is that I grew up in this community where we had to be independent and we had to rely on each other. And part of that was learning. You learned and you taught. And it was so much a part of my upbringing. One example that I couldn't put in your storyline was my dad asked me to rebuild our roof on our garage. I was 16 at the time. And so I went into my neighbor's garage and I looked and how did that work? And so I drew it all out and I came back home, and my dad, trusting me, allowed me to take down our garage roof and rebuild it. I was 16. And it just, again, it speaks to what I was raised to do. And not only that, but designed to do, which is learn. And I have just loved learning. And I'll reference a little bit of Noel's journey. He talked about what he went through. Mine was actually a little bit longer. I went through about 8 months. And one of the things that, again, I'll reference my wife. You'll hear me do that quite a bit. She's had a big influence on my life. She said, Len, you can't stop. You're not designed to stop. And she is just so right. I love learning. And what I really like about the topic you're talking about today is that it's opened up a whole new venue for me to learn. And I get excited when I can sit down, and it shows a little bit, maybe I am a little bit of a bot. I get excited about learning this kind of thing and then turning around, talking about it like we are today, and helping organizations absorb it, because there is nothing more fulfilling than learning something and then helping somebody take it and use it in a useful manner.
I love that. Wow, what great profiles the four of you have. Thank you. I'm glad I started it off, and thank you for doing those connecting the dots, or just adding more details, more texture, if you will. I appreciate that. Let's go to the part of the show where I've asked each of you to please send me a fictional quote from a fictional movie or TV character or a song lyric, and I will read a little bit about the quote, very little to keep it short. We have a lot to talk about today. I'm almost thinking we're going to schedule a part 2, because I think we got more we can fit into 1 hour, but we'll see. So Mike has sent a quote from Teach Your Children. Talk about teaching, Len and everybody else. There's that word. Mike, how did you know? A 1968 song by Graham Nash when he was a member of the Hollies, and it was first recorded in 1983 by them. But previously, Crosby, Stills, and Nash recorded it in 1969, and it's on all kinds of albums. So here we go, and it features Jerry Garcia on pedal steel guitar. He taught himself how to play when he was with New Riders of the Purple Sage. This is like music history here. Here's the quote. You who are on the road must have a code that you can live by, and so become yourself, because the past is just a goodbye. Oh, Mike, that's beautiful. Should we dance to it? Can we?
Why
dance?
not?
Okay, tell Kate I'm borrowing you on the dance floor. I'm a dancer. So, okay, Mike, tell us a little bit about this, please. Go ahead.
Well, first of all, having seen Crosby, Stills, and Nash live 4 times, I just love their music, and I love the meaning behind this song, and particularly the part that is the quote. So think about it. We all have a lot to accomplish in life, but we have to have a moral code that kind of defines who we are, and as we choose a path, sticking to the who we are. So to me, there's actually an irony in the song, in that you're first hearing about teaching your children, and you're teaching your children with love, not fear, and then pass on your dreams and values, but allow them to choose their own path and their own moral compass. But in the end, it adds a line, and teach your parents well. So I think part of the song is about, we initially teach our kids and pass along the learnings that we have, and then we need to sit back, watch, learn, listen, and watch our kids teach us what's really important. So that's why I love the song.
Very nice. Thank you. Great relation to our topic as well. Learning. I think this is the teaching and learning about data and AI show. I think we've changed the direction a little bit, and that's important. That's the human part. That's what we're talking about. So thank you, Mike. And let's go to Noel's quote. It's from Gurney Halleck, played by Josh Brolin. The film is Dune Part One. 2021 epic space opera film. I still don't know what a space opera is, but this is not the venue for that. Dune is co-produced and directed by Denis Villeneuve, who co-wrote the screenplay with John Spaeth and Eric Roth, first of a two-part adaptation of the 1965 novel by Frank Herbert, and the first installment in Legendary Pictures' Dune film series, starring the man with the wonderful curly hair, Timothy Chalamet. Sorry, that's the way I feel about him. Oscar Isaac, Josh Brolin, Stellan Skarsgård, all kinds of very interesting, and Dave Bautista. Here is the quote Noel has selected. My lungs taste the air of time blown past falling sands. How beautiful. This is a very poetic show today. Noel, I didn't tell you, I didn't ask you for poetry, but this is cool. I'm a poet too. Okay, Noel, tell us, what does this have to do with our topic, please?
Absolutely, Bonnie. So first, you introduced me earlier as a Renaissance person, so I promise you that I do read books, but I did stick with a movie quote on this one for a good reason. In my career, I've spent a lot of time on planes, probably like every other one of the panelists here. In one particular year, I had to travel to Australia 10 times, and I was limited to obviously what was the airline was presenting and showing. You'd be surprised after how fast you can deplete Qantas, American, and Delta Airlines' movie libraries when you're traveling as often as we are. And after many hours of watching Korean police dramas, Australian horror flicks, and the occasional Bollywood disaster, I would tell you that I've got a memory to stick to some of these quotes that I've picked up. I read Dune as a child, but I watched the movies. The movies are quite good. The quote that was said is basically said by this character, Gurney Halleck, as he steps off the transport the very first day the Atreides family takes over the operations on Dune. Dune is the complete polar opposite of the planet that they come from. And while it is a made-up religion, effectively, that is in the building of the ecosystem and the background of the whole Dune series, it's meant to convey basically that at that moment in time, that there was a major shift or a major activity going on that made the moment memorable. But the sands of blowing time speaks to the passage of time and where you are within it. And so the reason I chose it is sort of hearkening back to my point earlier about why I came out of my snowless sabbatical. There was a lot going on in AI and data, and this is one of those moments. So I thought that the spirit of what the film was conveying, while not as necessarily cinematographic as what we have now, certainly was apropos. That we are sitting on the precipice of a lot of technological and innovative and process change. And that's why I chose the quote that I did. It could have been something from Bollywood, Bonnie, but you would not have been happy with it.
I might have, but this one was great. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Okay, we're very multicultural here. Okay, thank you very much. Angel, I'm going to your quote. This is a serious one. I don't know what you're going to do with this. Tyler Durden, played by Brad Pitt. Fight Club, 1999 film directed by David Fincher, starring Brad Pitt, Edward Norton, Helena Bonham Carter, based on the 1996 novel Fight Club by Chuck Palahniuk. I hope that's correct. Norton plays the unnamed narrator who is discontented with his white-collar job. He forms a fight club with a soap salesman, Tyler Durden, and becomes embroiled with an impoverished but beguiling woman, Marla Singer. We know who plays her. Okay, so here we go. And here is the quote Angel has picked. It's only after we've lost everything that we're free to do anything. Okay, tell me, what's this got to do with our topic? No doom and gloom. No doom and gloom. Go.
No, temporary only.
Okay.
So Tyler was clearly not talking about enterprise software, but he was talking about history, what's in our backpack, right? So he could have been talking about enterprise software because for 30 years, companies have been accumulating decisions, applications, all type of software and customizations, right? They have been restructuring, compartmentalizing, they have been creating departments that don't talk to each other, and they've generated silos. So, like I was saying earlier with Spain and the Mezquita, at that point when they were making those decisions, they were thinking they were building the future. And every customization had a reason, every silo had an owner, etc., etc. But if you go back from what I said, or go forward to today, 2026, and put today's lenses on, those were really walls, and they were really doors that are closed for these AI agents to reason. They're just blocked in these data silos, and these agents and autonomous enterprise, they cannot run on technical debt, they cannot run on segregated software, and they cannot run on data silo. What they need is standardized processes, they need clean data, and it needs what we call, at least at SAP, clean core. So what Tyler was saying, or the way I interpret it, is let go of what's holding you, and then you will become capable of doing something that you were not doing before. So when these companies let go of that technical debt, that those processes that have been running this way for 30 years, and standardize those processes and generate this clean data, only then they will be able to think about the future. What is that they want to become? What is their value proposition for 2029? And when I talk to customers, I always tell them that they need to think about that value proposition, even if it sounds like science fiction, because it has to sound science fiction in 2026 with these agents and the way we are growing. That 2026 science fiction is very likely going to be reality in 2029. And just like OpenAI and Anthropic have demonstrated, those who get it right will dominate the market. That's what it means, how I interpreted that.
I like what you did with the quote. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And let's go to Len's quote. This is another music quote. It's from the song called Power, 2019 song, you're smiling, by Sons of Legion, which is spelled S and an O with a slash through it, as though it was a zero. L. Sons of Legion is an independent rock and soul band based in Nashville, Tennessee, formed by musicians Adam McInnes and Daddy Jack. Their music is a powerhouse of rock and roll. They have nearly 1.8 million monthly listeners on Spotify. Mainstream soundtrack to pivotal moments. It's been featured on ESPN broadcasts, Dodge Ram commercials, Netflix productions, and NBC programming. My goodness gracious. And here is the line Len has selected from this wonderful song. I have to go listen to it. No place for quitters, only for the bold. What a quote. Len, tell us.
I have this never-ending quest to find classic rock sounds produced today. And that's Sons of Legion. That's that song, Power. And it speaks to both myself and also what I see leaders in the community in technology needing to do. So for myself, as I talked about learning in my introduction, I could sit and learn and just sit behind my book and stop. But that's actually not the completion of learning. Learning means you go out and you do it. And that's the bold. That's taking what you've learned and moving forward and doing something with it. That's when you've proven that you actually learned it. And so as I look at this quote, and definitely we don't want to talk doom and gloom. You mentioned some of those topics. It's going to be the leaders who are bold, who despite these things, they move forward. There is a path. There is a way. And even Mike's view just popped up here on my big screen, and I think of your book, Mike, and some of the things you discussed in there. Leaders need to lead. And when new technology is coming out, it probably will again, maybe before I retire, maybe not, don't know. Leaders need to lead through that. Despite the challenges, despite the things that we need to learn, we need to move forward. So it is the bold. The leaders that step forward, that lead their organizations, that are willing to take the learning and put it into practical use, that are going to get the value.
Thank you. I think I heard a little bit of Canada sneak in there. Did you say a boot? I'm sorry. I remember Winnipeg's in his bio. Forgive me, I have a lot of Canadian authors come on my show. So thank you. You all did just beautifully. We ought to do a show with the four of you just coming on and giving favorite music and music and movie and TV quotes and relating it to technology. Would you like to do that sometime?
Why not? But who would listen?
Oh, I will. Well, I'm hosting, so I have to. Okay. Very, very. And we'll ask Sherry. Sherry will do a pulse on the market and see if anybody would listen. Okay, so much for that. Let's go to predictions. Mike, I've already picked your prediction number two, whether you want me to or not. I'm going to read it. It's a little bit long, and I'm going to have you unpack it. Take about 2 minutes. Let's keep our unpacking to about 2 minutes, please, and then we'll go around the table and see if anybody agrees or disagrees. So, Mike says the following: by 2030, okay, we're now approaching the midway of 2026, so do the math. Executives will be 100% focused on predictive simulation models enabled by data engineering, and AI. Instead of passive charts and dashboards, they'll be using predictive simulation models. If they want to know the impact of shifting production lines or changing a workforce model, they don't ask a team to build a spreadsheet next week. They ask AI to use integrated data to simulate the outcome. I'm going to stop there. This is good stuff. Mike, why don't you take us through this, unpack, and then we'll see what Noel and Angel and Len have to say. Go ahead.
Thank you, Bonnie. So I think the to summarize this lengthy commentary, we're in the process of shifting from this rear view mirror concept of looking at what happened yesterday into this strategic windshield looking forward. And I think it's phenomenal that companies will be able to act faster. And the reason I don't think doom and gloom is what comes with AI, even for the people. You hear lots of stories about the technology will take the place of the people. I think what's actually going to happen is the people doing work that is mundane and not value added, that's going to be replaced. And I think Angel said earlier, the real great opportunity is to move people into more influential roles, touching customers more directly. And with this strategic windshield looking forward, react much more quickly to a changing dynamic in the marketplace. So I'm beyond excited about what this AI concept is going to do. And I think the notion of looking forward, not back, is where we're headed.
I like that windshield looking forward. Make sure it's clean. Yes. Somebody asked me if I cleaned my glasses. Angel, when I was going to take the pictures, he asked if I cleaned the lens on my camera. Thank you very much. Let's go around the table. I am going to, just to kick this off, I'm going to start and ask each of you to comment. So, Noel, what's your comment on Mike's prediction, please?
Well, it would be very poor form for me to disagree with my boss on this one. So,
oh, come on. He's in a good mood today.
I'll start
It's
with
okay.
that disclaimer, Bonnie. Just in case I get myself in trouble.
No, not here. I'll vouch for you.
Yeah, no, we've chatted about this as well. I'm in furious agreement on the subject because it doesn't matter what industry we're talking about. The ability to present, I think, to the C-suite through either long-range modeling or decision-making where the analytics have already been done and the prediction has already been done is the only way to move more efficiently forward with what we have. Of course, there's a ton of work that has to be done behind the scenes to get that up there, but I think that is not just a utopian end state, it is the logical next step for what to do with this information.
I like that. Angel, talk to us. 2 minutes.
Fully agree. Right. And it goes a little bit into one of the predictions that I said, and it was related to the supply chain, because to me, we're moving from reactive to anticipatory, because we have now that predictive AI is going to give us all that vision on things that we can see or we couldn't see in the past, like weather events, geopolitical events, and so on. So we are kind of moving from a point where in a supply chain example would be, we know there is a disruption in our supply chain when somebody calls and says, my package didn't arrive. Whether now with these agents and this autonomous enterprise concept, we will be discovering that at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday, even before it happens. So we are helping teams move from firefighting to architecting systems that avoid that those fires start. So I think that's really the power of where we are just beginning to scratch with AI agents.
Thank you. Mike is very happy with that. He's nodding a lot. Okay. Len, what do you think? Join us.
Yeah, I'd like to talk a little bit about the data aspect of this, because there's a mentality shift. I think Angel did such a brilliant job about talking about the technology. Think about the mentality, the shift that needs to happen here. We need to look at data as something of value, a currency, if you will, and not just an output that comes from the organization. That's when we toss it behind us. When it's just an output product, it's something that we just take, we throw it behind us, we'll analyze it and see what happens. Now we need to shift that. We need to take that and go, this is something of value. It's got currency. How is it going to help me look forward? So there's that big shift in the way we need to view data.
Plutonium, oil, currency,
Yep.
soil. I've heard the oil one debunked because people say, well, you use oil a couple of times and it's dirty and it's got to get rid of it. But that was the one that stuck in the popular vernacular, apparently, the jargon. So, Mike, anything you want to add before we move on to another prediction?
Well, just that I'm on the edge of my seat waiting for the other shoe to drop. The fact that they all agreed with me is so beyond shocking. So, gentlemen, thank you. Nice
well,
open line.
I
Mike,
told them.
I did give my disclaimer.
Yeah.
I told them you were in a good mood and they could disagree, but they ignored me. You know, you
Totally.
can't
So far.
ignore it.
So
So far.
The
We'll
only
see.
thing that I would challenge is the year, right? We said 2030. At this point, I don't know if it's 2026, 2027, 2028. I think we may be beyond that in 2030, actually.
I did say bye. So I
Yeah.
think,
Good point.
sooner is fine
Yes.
with me.
Yeah, I think it's coming sooner. If the four of you put the energy, put the pedal to the metal, I think it's going to happen. So there we go. We've got a powerhouse panel today. Okay, let's go on. Noel asked me to pick prediction number 3, and that's what I'm going to do. So Noel says AI will become the ultimate fieldwork companion when the AI interface uses data from mobile. Aha. We're already optimizing AI in the office at our desks. Imagine as AI learns natural language instead of the worker typing in a part number, he or she or they could just talk to the app and say, I just replaced an intake valve on pump 4. Wow. Forget about the pretty dashboard for the executives. Yes, they can be pretty. This is now real work productivity for workers who are actually driving the bottom line every day. No, very interesting, very pragmatic. Why don't you go and unpack this for us a little bit?
Thanks, Bonnie, and thanks for acceding to my request to hit that one, because the why I put that one in there and why I wanted it to make sure that it made the show today.
I would have picked it anyway. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why later. I'll tell you why when you're done. Go ahead, unpack.
Thank you. Look, I think there's a common theme here that data is going to be a part of every decision we make and every process step that we make, and it will guide us in many ways to the right resolution. In the areas that we have done consulting in the past, this is the area of asset management consulting that probably relies the most on mobile technology, because the field force is distributed across the network, and you've got decision making that needs to be done in very remote and very unsupported environments. There is enough companies, people, innovators, futurists that are focusing on the macro of what to do with data in AI, and the micro, in the sense that they are agents that are replacing mundane tasks at the role level. What tends to get lost in that mix is the broad middle. And the broad middle has always been the area that we have focused our attention on. If you look at what the cultural shifts and the technological shifts that have occurred in the case of people who are out working on turbines, in power gen in the field, or that have been working on isolated railroad spurs or pipeline in the middle of the Texas Permian Basin or something like that. Number one, they tend to be fairly old. There's been a consistent theme in this market that we have a very aging labor force, and one of the great concerns that force has is how do they replace decades of experience when the labor force coming in may not have anywhere near it. In fact, that's assuming you can source these people correctly. And so what the future that I'm pointing out here is that we may have solved it not through aggressive labor hiring campaigns, but by providing to a person in the field who is empowered to make his own decisions, to maintain a network or to maintain an asset base at a certain condition. What's been missing from him is almost the ghosts of the past, the experience from the past, not just in an existential sort of way, but related to that specific asset that he's working on. And so the prediction that I have is really around bringing the AI decision making and the support to the person in the field while they're actually a repair or while they're doing an inspection on the asset. If we can close that loop, we will have significantly increased through AI and data modeling the safety and efficiency of the operation of those networks. And solved one of the great conundrums in the 20 years that we've been working in this space, is how to replace all of that or support all of that experience and visited onto the individual doing the work tomorrow with the information that he needs at that time.
I think you just wrote a white paper. That was lovely.
Mhm.
Very, very, very well done. Very well stated. Thank you. Let's go around the table. I'm going to start with Len this time. Len, and then Mike, and then Angel. So I'm going to mix it up. Okay. Len, what do you think?
Well, I was hoping you'd ask me because I actually, yeah, there's a solution I worked with back in 2008. And the intent of this solution was that people were going to be able to speak in their mic just like I am right now and gather data. And so part of the challenge that we've often faced with technicians in the field is that we refer to the big thumbs or the gloved hands, and being able to enter data on a mobile device was really difficult and challenging. And so we wouldn't get the data. So just as Noel is talking about the value of this information, well, you have to collect it. And what's one of the easiest ways to collect it? You speak. And now we have the technology to take spoken word, convert it into incredibly valuable data that builds on data and becomes available for exactly what was being referenced. So I think this is an example of something that was dreamed about 20 years ago. Now we have the technology to be able to support it, collect the data, and produce the kind of value that Noel was just referring to.
Thank you. Mike, what do you think?
It pains me to say I agree, but I agree.
Oh, dear.
And what I will say is that Noel's giving us one interesting example, but there's going to be thousands. And the technology shift isn't just going to solve the mundane work problem that we all think about when we think about AI, but the value added stuff. And I'll summarize by saying data was always important, but we're going to action on it so quickly now. We'll appreciate 5 years from now or 2 years from now a lot more how essential getting the right data at the right time in the right person's decision-making process. And this technology is just changing that entire world. So yes, I agree with Noel.
And in the right form. Don't hurt yourself agreeing with everybody, Mike. I don't have herd insurance on the show. Angel, what do you think? Agree or
I
disagree?
have to
Do you
agree
dare?
again because we're moving us into what used to be human intensive processes now are becoming zero touch kind of processes. And as Len was saying, we are using our voice, but who knows? Soon we'll just be using our brain to send those signals. Right? So we are moving those signals to become then interpreted by these agents and acted on within certain parameters, of course, to avoid everything that could have happened. So to me, what it does is it takes all these processes, streamline them, and in the future, short future, the perfect process is possible. And like the perfect piece of software will become the norm, because as these all interact with each other and improve each other, that average raises and raises and raises, right?
Thank you very much. Noel, 2 reasons I appreciate what you said. Number 1, my very first show for SAP Game Changers Radio was called Coffee Break with Game Changers, October 5th, 2011. Happened to be the day that Steve Jobs passed away, but that we found out a couple hours later. No, my show wasn't that bad. I know it's very dark humor. But the first show was talking about the future of mobility. We weren't talking about AI yet. And Dan Mahold was a VP of mobility at SAP, and I had him plus 2 other VPs scheduled for my show. Dan was the only one who showed up. The other 2 were somewhere skiing in Austria and got the time mixed up. And it was 60 seconds before we went live, and this is before me too, and I'm not going to get upset about this. I said, Dan, honey, follow my lead. We're going to talk mobility for 1 hour. And he said, Bonnie, honey, I'm here with you. And that was how the show went. I never went back. So mobility was on my mind, and I like that. The other thing that you said, Noel, was you talked about the knowledge of the aging, quote unquote, aging work. Should we say the maturing, the seasoned, the well-seasoned salt and pepper workforce. And you talked about supporting them and supporting that knowledge. That was an important thing. And you said not replace, but
Correct.
support. Very well put. That's the kind of language we want to talk about. That's what will take the fear out of it. So before I go on too long-winded here, let's go to a prediction from Angel Cruz. I was going to pick your one about supply chain, but I changed my mind because you mentioned it already. So here's what I'd like to talk about. You say in prediction number 2, Angel, the integration of advanced AI will make the traditional financial month-end close entirely instantaneous and automatic, transforming how the autonomous enterprises report financial health. You got a lot of good words in there. Angel, 2 minutes. Tell us what this means, please.
Perfect. I'm going to start with a question for you, Bonnie.
Okay.
Why do we normally meet humans at a corporate level?
Why do we what?
Why do we meet? What are the meetings normally about?
Talk about something.
It's talk about something we are sharing, something we're sharing data.
Yeah.
We're sharing, as Mike was saying earlier, we're sharing things that already happened. We're kind of reconciling. So in a world where that reconciliation happens without human intervention, in a world where we have this month-end close events become a non-event because we have an instantaneous closing, but not because the machine is really fast, but because there is nothing to reconcile because it has happened over time. Well, then we are moving into a point where those meetings that were 80% sharing information and status and now and 20% decision, we're moving that into a CFO that's actually discovering a problem that will show up in our current month-end close or quarterly close into a decision point in the middle of the month that doesn't seem to be very relevant, but is avoiding and summarizing all those problems, is resolving those problems. So when we get to this closing moment of the end of the month, that happens almost instantaneously. It doesn't need, there's nothing but the last 15 minutes to reconcile. So that is the concept. It's how these agents are going to flag those anomalies at the very beginning when they happen within minutes. They're going to negotiate with other agents through these protocols what the solution might be. If it's within their framework, they're going to resolve them. If not, they will bring the human for that judgment that I mentioned earlier. And that's what's going to take that event, is going to make it disappear. And we will continuously close the books and leave the rest for historical reasons, all those discussions about reconciliations and posting on why did it happen and who approved it. All those things are always going to be behind us. That's my concept.
Thank you. Let's go around the table. I'll start with you, Noel. Thoughts?
This is a tough one for me. I've not really worked in finance before, so more educational than anything else. That Angel said. I have no reason to discount it or argue about it, but I can tell you in almost every customer engagement that I've ever had, month-end close, the latency of it has always been an issue. And so to larken it back to my prediction, as I said, very smart futurists and people are focusing on the big macro. And a month-end close for a multinational corporation, there is tangible benefit and there is obviously tangible risk mitigation in a month-end close happening the way Angel is predicting for a lot of companies that put an awful lot of horsepower and time into that with some risk if they're not so sure about the results. So fully endorse it. And as I said, from an aerospace engineer, not a financier, I look forward to that day.
I appreciate that. My longest running show for SAP Game Changers, excuse me, was Financial Excellence with Game Changers. It was 12 years they were with me. And the theme was the laggards who are not adopting and adapting technology. This is before we were talking about AI, but we did talk about predictive and making that close more efficient and more effective and more on time. Yes, getting it done sooner and faster and delaying that long cycle of when do we get to report everything. So we talked about the laggards and the ones who are on board, and that would be the benefit for the CFO in the office. Mike, you want to comment briefly on what Angel said? And then Len, I have to keep moving. I'm looking at the clock. Go ahead.
Yeah, I had a flashback actually. When I started my career in paper manufacturing, I remember sitting on the executive team meeting as sort of an apprentice. And the CFO had announced that his strategic goal was to reduce the amount of time it took to do the month-end close down to 10 days. 10 days after the end of the month. And I remember thinking, wait a minute. So if you have a bad month, a third of the month will have passed into the next month before you start trying to fix it. So Angel, first of all, I love the concept. The other piece that I would add is if those executive meetings now can, because the results are instantaneous, we can shift the focus from sharing data to thinking about what problem is a customer about to run into and what can we do about it. To me, I mentioned earlier, there's work to be done. We're just going to shift who does it, when it gets done. And the more time we can spend thinking about our customers and not worrying about all these data exchanges and meetings. And if we can close the books instantaneously instead of 10 days later, we're all better off. Love it.
There you go. Len, comments?
It makes so much sense. Bonnie, you mentioned, sorry, could you help me out here? You mentioned that data is the oil and a couple of other terms
The
there.
plutonium, the currency, the soil. Yes.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're
So
welcome.
if you look at the industries,
He was listening. Go ahead.
consider the industries where all of that data fuel exists, if you will. Finance, insurance, healthcare, all of those are really logical places. So when Angel refers to this finance place, we do it every month. Companies have been, how many millions of companies doing it. We have so much data that we can use to teach agents how to do it. It's so logical. It makes sense. And I think that we can extend that into other industries where they have so much data already. Those are the ones that are fairly easy to get to. And so again, I think insurance, healthcare, not meaning to add to predictions, but I think they will also be ones that gravitate toward this quite quickly.
Thank you. And Len, I'm keeping you on because we're going to do your prediction. Angel, forgive me. I'm going to wrap it up because we've got a couple minutes left. I want to hit a prediction
No
number
worries.
4 from Len. And Len says, this is a good way to cap this, I think. Leadership roles will shift management focus from tasks to governance of data structures. Will transition from assistive AI, chat-based, to agentic orchestrations. Executives will not need to manage tasks, but will need to ensure data guardrails are active. This could probably be a whole show, but we've only got about 4 minutes left. So Len, why don't you unpack that and we'll get a quick comment around the table. Go ahead, Len.
Absolutely. If you look at data being such a critical part to supporting agents and the AI, what you need is you need ownership, you need governance over the data, and you need clear meaning. So if I'm an executive, I'm that CFO who's depending upon that month end to be accurate, I'm going to make sure that someone in my team owns the data, that it's well governed and looked after, and that it's clear in its intent and the semantics around it. And so I think executives will start to care about data much more than the tasks because the data will drive the task.
Very well put. We have just about 30 seconds each. Okay, Jordan's going to push us to the top of the hour. Mike, what are your thoughts? Agree or disagree? Keep it tight, please.
I'm not sure I agree or disagree. I'm going to comment though.
Okay.
No, I think I do. I think that what it takes to be a leader is going to shift because the discipline that's required to take action on this instantaneous feed of information is different than it used to be. Because as a leader, when you had 10 people verifying the same information, by the time it got to you, it was pretty certain that it was accurate. Now we have to go upstream, put those guardrails that Len mentions in place so that this autonomous process shows up with the right data at the right time. Because we're going to take action on it one way or another. If it's wrong and we take action on it, we have problems. So back to the point, leadership is going to be so much more about discipline and about building proper guardrails that it'll be interesting to see 10 years from now what a great leader looks like. They're going to be different, I think.
I think it'll be sooner than 10 years. Angel, what do you think?
100% agree. We all have to stop creating data. We have to stop processing transactions. We have to start orchestrating and defining the governance models for those agents to run within.
Thank you. That was brief and to the point. Noel, what do you think?
I'll probably comment as well. No reason to disagree, but I would say, as you mentioned at the beginning of the show, this is not about human replacement. It's about putting decision making at the last step in front of the humans. Speed in this case is dangerous because looking at data and acting on it instantaneously, if you don't have the proper context or the proper experience, becomes the issue. So harkening back to what Mike said about leadership changing to some extent, I think the credibility of understanding the process, the industry, and the activity is even more critical. You can't parachute in and just run your company just on what the AI tools are presenting, or else what value are you presenting at that final checkpoint?
Thank you. Len, good prediction. Thank you very much. Okay, we got about a minute and a half left. I'm going to ask you each for one sentence with one comment and one semicolon in it on what you want to see AI help most with data in businesses? What would you look forward to the most? Mike, I'll go in the normal order. What do you think? What would you like the best thing that could happen with AI and data? Fast.
Get us all focused on delivering value to our clients quickly.
Okay. Noel?
Present context and history to the decision maker in the field.
Angel?
I'm going to go broader and wider. Contribute to world peace and hunger.
Okay.
problems.
We will appreciate that very much. Len?
I think reduce the tedium. Make people
Hold your mic
excited
up. Hold
about
your
work.
mic up.
Sorry,
Okay.
sorry.
There he is.
There we go. Reduce the tedium of work. Let people get excited about it, not scared about it, but excited about it because they're doing things that are meaningful.
Thank you. I want to give a shout out again to our good friend and colleague, Sherry Ann Meyer, who was so supportive and so helpful with getting all of you ready. I won't make any specific comments, getting you ready for the show today and helping to translate things so that I would be able to read them on the air. Sherry, thank you. She's brilliant at translation from we know what to we know what. And thank you so much for bringing these 4 brilliant people to my panel. Mike, I hope you enjoyed yourself. It's always lovely to see you, and Noel as well. Angel, what a pleasure to meet you, and Len as well. Can I predict that you're all going to come back for a part 2 and we're going to tackle some different predictions in a couple months? What do you think?
I love the idea, Bunny.
Do you like
Sounds
that?
great.
Everybody,
Sherry's got compromise on all of us, so probably, yeah.
there you go. I
Or
hope you all
twice the
agree.
fee that you've been paying, but I think that's great.
Okay, that's fine. I'm going to play the outro music. And where is my outro music? Here we go. Okay. Come on, dance with me.
Where does yesterday's future land? When it finally shakes your hand, right at the edge of a brand new screen. Blink once and you know what I mean. The old world folds into a spark.
Spark.
One little switch in the dark.
Turn that switch on.
Tomorrow's knocking, just minutes away. Can you hear it rocking? Can you hear it say?
Here we go.
Technology evolution,
Future of now. Future of now.
Future of now.
Everybody say goodbye. We're out.
Bye.